Good morning. Good Monday morning to everybody. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Um, we had a little bit of rain. I think not enough rain, but a little bit of rain certainly helps. As you know, we're having a drought, and it's a huge concern with our agricultural community. Obviously, as I've said before, we are. Our economy is a big ag economy in Illinois. And so definitely it's something to keep in mind when we're facing these droughts. I know my grass matches the shade of brown with all the other yards, most of the other yards in the community. If you're gonna check out the background, I'll have a couple visitors coming in. I didn't close my door before starting the Zoom, so they're going to come in, and you got Cody back there relaxing, and then Honey's running around here somewhere, so she might pop in or pop out at leisure. So I just hope everybody had a fabulous weekend. For the most part, the weather was decent. It wasn't extremely hot. Again, I'm going to give a small update that if you are having issues with your air conditioning, if you need a cooling center, you can certainly call my office. We'll be able to direct you where to go and how to help out. So for the mug of the day, I picked my mug. I got this at Cantigny, I think like a year ago. It's the Dragonfly, and it says just wing it. So sometimes in life you just have to wing it. I have notes printed out today, but I'm not winging it. And on the back it says spend time near the water, be colorful, enjoy a good read, zoom in on your dreams, appreciate long summer days, and keep your eyes open. Appreciate long summer days. Summer solstice has happened, and now we're going to enjoy some long summer days. So I know as a kid, and I think every kid that played outside, nowadays you don't see that many kids playing outside, not in our neighborhood, but as when I was a kid, I stayed up until the streetlights came on, and that was kind of our rule. And now that it's past summer solstice, there's a lot of time to be had outside enjoying the weather. So definitely, I'm going to start off with a story. It's a story isn't quite the right words. However, it is reported that a colleague of ours, State Representative Nasser Rashid, and his family were caught up in violence in the West Bank. Rashid and his family were visiting relatives when hundreds of Israeli settlers stormed the town of Termus, and that was where they were staying. And he is reported as stating that the Israeli settlers set fire to cars and homes to avenge the deaths of 4 Israelis killed by Pakistani gunmen the previous day. Palestinians say one person was killed in the violence, and the family witnessed the violence and are currently sheltering in place. And then recently he sent a letter that's been since published to all the colleagues, which I appreciate, and it's a very, very concerning time. We sit in our country, and we need to really recognize some of the other areas of the world. He writes in his letter that he was visiting his parents and relatives in Palestine. The village I grew up in, Tumusaya, is near Ramallah and only 25 miles from Jerusalem. He stated he lived there from ages 5 to 11 and have been back many times since. He came to visit with his wife and 3 kids last week, eager to reconnect with family and friends. He goes on to state in his letter that he was in the nearby city of Ramallah on Wednesday, June 21st, running errands when I got a frantic call from my mother. She said the village was under attack by a mob of armed Israel settlers. As we spoke, my phone was inundated with videos and pictures of the live attack. He got off the phone and began contacting the U.S. Embassy, the State Department, and others. He states that he felt incredibly guilty that he could not have been there to help protect his parents. It soon became clear that hundreds of Israeli settlers invaded the villages, torched dozens of homes and cars, burned agricultural land, and injured many villagers. One young man, Omar Quitan, was killed. His wife is an American citizen, and they have 2 children. He goes on to write that the next day, Thursday, he'll never forget the feeling I got when I saw the text message saying settlers were back, this time in my neighborhood. Within moments, I saw people running in the streets. One man was sprinting to each house, yelling, "Flee your homes." Then the gunshots started, and we knew we needed to stay inside. He writes, I ran outside, yelling for my family to get inside. We barricaded doors, closed windows, and started making a safety plan. My 7-year-old daughter held on to me tight and asked, crying, "What do we do if we get shot?" I truly did not know during this period whether we would be killed. My 11-year-old nephew was playing with his cousins down the street. My sister-in-law was hysterical. We had to stop her from running in that direction because she would be in the line of fire. She agreed to stay only after we confirmed that adults had gathered children playing outside and took them into a nearby home, and that he was one of them. He goes on to state that in our indescribable relief, this was a small invasion, and the settlers were pushed back by villagers. One person counted seeing 10 settlers. We don't know exactly how many were there in total. Had there been hundreds of settlers invading like the previous day, my family and I could have been massacred. So he writes that I've been in contact with senior State Department officials since Wednesday. I also want to thank everybody who immediately sprang to action on Thursday when I sent the urgent messages asking for help in reaching federal officials. I had to have conversations with my children that every Palestinian parent has, that the Israeli government does not believe we deserve equal rights. That's what he wrote, that we have to be especially careful because we can be hurt or even killed with no accountability or consequences. Some of you know the heavy feeling of having this type of conversation with young children. So he ends up saying, many of you have asked me how me and my family are doing, and if there are new developments, I will be creating a WhatsApp and or Signal group to keep you updated, only open to Illinois House and Illinois Senate Democrats. Please let me know if you would like me to add you to the group. They will be coming back to Chicago in July. But he writes, thousands of people who will remain in the village and millions of Palestinians in the region will continue to experience the daily fear, violence, and trauma of Israeli military occupation. So we send our thoughts, our prayers, and hope for safety to Representative Rashid and his family, but also to all individuals that are impacted and harmed by violence. It's not an answer, and it's not anything that that people should have to live with on a daily basis. So I just wanted to update with regards to Representative Rashid and his family as they were visiting his one of his childhood homes and got caught in the crossfires of violence, which is something that many individuals do experience. And violence of any nature is traumatic and difficult, and we need to do all we can to stop the violence. So, so with that, we are going to let me just redo my program here, and there we go. So, good morning. We have Brooke on the line and a couple of people viewing. So, and going to give you a quick update on what else is going on. Congratulations to the city of Chicago for their 52nd annual Pride Parade. A little bit of rain showers. It was on Sunday. Didn't dampen the festive spirits as the parade made its way through the North Side neighborhoods. No incidents were reported. So congratulations on a successful Pride Parade in downtown Chicago. as I was, yesterday was the Pride Parade, but I was, if you notice, I'll post some pictures. On Sunday, I was able to host some fellow women Marines, and we were able to host Helen Ellers, and she's been on our Facebook Live, I think last year or the year before. We can post her segment. But Helen Ellers, World War II veteran, turns 100 years old in September. And then we also were able to host Mary Roa. She's a Korean War veteran, and she is going to be 96 years old. And so they were able to come over along with several other women Marines, and we just enjoyed the day. So and it did not rain here, so thankfully for that. So again, June 12th was Women Veterans Day, and June is Women Veteran Month. It's not, it's just an acknowledgement that when women were given the right to serve equally alongside their male counterparts. And then, as I've said before, in 2017, women were now virtually unrestricted in any military occupational specialty that they choose to engage in, that they qualify for, and they can serve in. So it's come a long way since when I talked to Helen Ellers, a World War II veteran who served and had to wait till 1948 to be properly recognized as a veteran, and Mary Roa the same. And they're just wonderful people, and they've done so much, and just overall, talking about service and women veterans. So, and then yesterday, after hosting them here at the house, we went over to the Aurora Township Fire Department Ice Cream Social, where the whole crowd honored not only the women veterans, but sang happy early birthday to Helen and Mary individually. And I'm told the whole way at home, Helen said that it was just a wonderful day for both of them. So, and it was a wonderful day for me and everybody else with the group that was able to listen to their stories and just fellowship with our legacy Marines, as we call them. So that was my Sunday, and it was a very, very it was just a great day hanging out with fellow veterans. So with that, we can turn our attention a little bit to the state of Illinois. Now, the budget was passed, it was signed into law. I know that things are going around and individuals are taking out certain line items in the budget. I've gone through the line item. The budget is a compromised bill. Some line items I didn't quite agree with, some line items I did agree with, but at the end of the day, other reps have their input in the budget as well. It needs to garner votes in the House, votes in the Senate, and signed by the governor. So that's how the House and Senate, and that's how government works. And so while there are, again, some things not always there's not always agreement on both sides, but at the end of the day, there is agreement on the budget because the budget was passed, signed. And so nitpicking line items at this stage is just really an exercise at I don't really know what. It's just, we need to move on. The budget's been signed. But at the end of the day, we have a balanced budget. The budget is balanced again. We are still sitting at 8 credit upgrades. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I'll continue to say it. Just because it's time to start talking more positive about the state of Illinois. Now, online, if you go and look, there's a fun photo tour, and I can put the link in the chat, but there's a renovation going on in the State House, and it's a $300 million renovation. And what's going on in the renovation of the State House is really a first and second phase of construction. They were combined in 2021 due to pandemic delays, but those are mostly complete. So now this is the phase 3, and it includes like a parking garage, more things such as basements, rerouting sewer line, asbestos abatement, new mechanical rooms. So definitely that's it is certainly quite the I have to say, the pictures are pretty interesting, and I'll see if I can post the link right here on our Facebook page. But I have to say that it really is there it is right there. It really is quite the sight. If you haven't tuned in, you really should tune in on the photo tour. I just posted it right there, and you can see just what's going on in the north wing, and how they're making this parking deck, and they're digging down into the foundation, and looking at the asbestos removal, and they got captions that talk about the mezzanine. So back in the I want to say maybe 60s or 70s, and I'm not quite sure on that date, but they put in a mezzanine level that cut the huge grand floors of the Capitol, the original floors of the Capitol, in half, and made offices in it. And so you would see offices, if you've ever visited the Capitol, with like a half a window coming out of the floor of the office. They're removing that mezzanine floor, and they are restoring restoring the floors to its original grandeur. And it's just really I would encourage you to see the pictures. Go to the Facebook page ildistrict84.com and click on this Facebook Live section. And I put the link to the Capitol News Illinois that will really show the extent of what the construction is. I understand that a lot of people look at the cost. This is an over 100-year-old building. This building is going to last hopefully in perpetuity, and we need to invest in that. As you know, with any home construction, to do it right, to do it the right way, you definitely got to make sure that you invest in it, and that's definitely what we're doing. Good morning, Bonnie. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I am just finishing up talking about the reconstruction photos of the Capitol that was there. So what else is going on? So the governor approved some bills last week. The most significant bill that he signed expands the law allowing cocktails to go. That was Senate Bill 89. The law that allows restaurants and bars to provide carryout, curbside pickup, and delivery of mixed drinks and single servings of wine for off-premise consumption went into effect in June of 2020. So this was part of the package that we did to help those businesses with the COVID restrictions. And we found it was very effective, and it was set to expire on January 3rd, 2024. And we expanded the law to August 1st, 2028. So you can still get your favorite cocktail to go if you'd like to. Definitely, a lot of people did appreciate that. The Illinois Supreme Court, on the judicial side, we have a commission called the Access to Justice Commission. And the Supreme Court approved Cook County Judge Allison Conlon to serve as the chair of the Access to Justice Commission. The chair was previously Justice Rushford. Justice Rushford was recently elected to the Illinois Supreme Court, and therefore created the vacancy. So congratulations to her on that appointment. We're also looking at the EPA. The Environmental Protection Agency released the public chapter development comments for the 2024 long-term renewal resource procurement plan. So the Illinois Environment Protection Agency intends to release the plan on August 15th. If you're interested, that is available online if you would like to read it. Illinois Department of Transportation accepted 236 bids on contracts for highway and bridge projects at its June letting, representing a potential investment of more than $910 million in infrastructure and communities throughout Illinois. A total of 38 contract bids were in excess of $5 million. So definitely the bids are the largest in the department's history. And I just had this conversation with an individual, and they said that they were traveling, and in different areas, gas prices are cheaper. Definitely, if you go to Southern Illinois and other places, gas prices are cheaper within the state of Illinois as well. As you know, or you may not know, is that the state of Illinois allows local units of government, the towns and the villages and the cities, to adhere an additional tax above the state motor fuel tax. So when we're talking about the state, and you look at areas outside of the collar counties, and you say prices is cheaper outside the collar counties in Southern Illinois and in other areas, that is the price of gas with the state gas tax on it. The local municipalities and towns, mostly in the collar counties in Chicago, put an additional tax on the gasoline price to fix the local roads in your area. All taxes that are at the pump, they go into a lockbox. We passed that constitutional amendment several years ago. There is no fund sweeping or dipping into that fund. So you know that every price you pay at the pump, that goes to either the state of Illinois, which is a statewide tax. So regardless of where you're at, Southern Illinois in Cairo or Springfield or wherever in the state of Illinois, that's uniform throughout the whole state. Which is not uniform is the gas tax that's given on top of the state tax for local municipalities. And those are funds that go to fix the roads in your local towns. Now, again, that's a local issue. If you have issues with the roads in your town and you have issues with that local gas tax, then you should bring that up with your town, city, village, and those local elected officials. Now, it's not really a state issue when we're talking about the gas tax. The gas tax for the state is uniform throughout the state. So it's not the state that is levying this additional taxes. In addition to that, the state of Illinois is a fairly large state. We're the 5th largest state in the nation. We have a lot of roads that need repairs. We have a lot of bridges that need repairs. Those have extreme costs to do it right. Again, we need to invest in doing it right for the safety of the travelers on those bridges, on those roads, and they're state roads. Now keep that in mind. State roads. That is what we are tasked to fix and to maintain. And we do partner and work with local municipalities on some of these projects as well. So keep that in mind when we're looking at it. And the individual I was talking to, I told her, I said, well, those taxes go to fix the roads. And she goes, what roads are being fixed? And I kind of chuckled. And I said, I know you came from up north. Did you not go through all that construction that they're doing? And she's like, oh yeah, they're doing a lot of construction. I said, right there. That's where the tax dollars are going. So while we kind of get frustrated in construction zones, please drive safely and make sure that you're looking out for our workers. That needs to be repaired. It needs to be done. We need to fix those roads and bridges. So that's where the funds are going to. And our Illinois Department of Transportation had a record bidding in June. So it's a good thing. And then looking at the Illinois Housing Development Authority, IDA, they awarded nearly $26 million in federal low-income housing tax credit. So again, as I told this before, the state works with the federal government. we award these programs. The federal government allows us to administer some of these programs. So then when some of these programs come to fruition, it's the federal funds that are going through the state in which we are working. So $26 million in federal low-income housing tax credits that will fund 18 affordable housing developments and in 12 counties throughout Illinois. So these tax credits are expected to generate $235 million in private capital to finance the creation and or preservation of 1,159 affordable units for low and moderate income families. So we're looking at that, and we did have additional funding from our budget, and so there may be allocated some additional funding from our budget to overcome pandemic related construction cost increases as well. So we're working on that to provide some affordable housing. The Illinois Commerce Commission, the ICC, ruled that NICOR improperly charged customers for $31 million in infrastructure spending, triggering a process that will lead to a refund and a rate adjustment. So we do have ComEd and NICOR, and their rates go before the ICC, and their business activities go get monitored by that board. And so they ruled that this happened. This is the first time regulators have determined NICOR didn't spend money wisely and shouldn't be allowed to bill the ratepayers for those investments. The ICC reviews the surcharges and can disallow those that deem inappropriate. As we mentioned earlier on, drought conditions. I know I mentioned this before, but we are in the worst drought condition in a decade. Severe drought is not all that unusual. However, the amount of the state of Illinois under severe drought is something that's not been seen in a decade. As a result of the dry weather, the impacts are growing worse, and the effects of it are starting to be felt across the state. So the latest drought monitor has over 14% of the state under severe drought conditions, the most since fall of 2013. When nearly 16% of the state experienced such drought. So it's a big, huge issue, and definitely something that, again, state of Illinois is monitoring, because we have a big agricultural economy in the state. A lot of people don't realize that, and I know I keep repeating that, but eventually it'll hopefully stick in. Now, we've talked about it before, ratings. The rating agencies, mentioned that earlier in this podcast and this Facebook Live. It's both. It's a podcast and it's a Facebook Live. Fitch ratings of Illinois funds. So Illinois funds is a mutual fund investment used by local governments throughout the state of Illinois Treasurer's Office. So I think we talked about this last week. Just bears repeating that it earned a top AAA rating, AAA rating from Fitch Ratings. And that's exciting. It's a $15 billion local government investment pool. It invests in assets focused on safety, preservation of principal, liquidity, and income. An investment can be as short as overnight and can be, longer term as well. And Illinois Funds rating reaffirms the confidence Fitch has shown in the program during the last year. So congratulations again to Treasurer Mike Frericks. We congratulated him last week on the birth of his twins. So they are doing well. And so congratulations on this as well. And then Attorney General Kwame Raoul joined 5 other attorney generals in a legal effort to block Amgen from purchasing Horizon Therapeutics. There's more on that on the internet if you're interested in those kind of law firms. So then we just have a few other items. Again, the General Assembly is not in session, and we will be in session in October. We'll be doing committee meetings, scheduling those up in July for several subjects. Again, pensions being one of them. So we're working hard with regards to that. But there's some secondary kind of other items that are going on. We are working with the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force that recommends adults 19 to 64 should be screened for anxiety disorders and continues to recommend that all adults be screened for major depressive disorders. They're talking about research that suggests that anxiety disorders and depression may be associated with suicidal thoughts, suicidal attempts, and other types of suicidal behaviors. But the new recommendations state that there's not enough evidence to recommend for or against screening specifically for that risk. And I'm a big fan of this, is that and working in the aspect that I've worked in, and that's with veteran suicide, is that when we look at the point in which the individual is having suicidal ideologies, I believe that we are a little bit late to the game. And so we passed a law with regards to some mental health pretty much checkups. We're working very hard to have mental health on parity with physical health. And I think that's a little bit along the same lines as the U.S. Preventative Service Task Force is talking about, by having screening with anxiety disorders and major depression disorders. If we can identify stressors, anxiety stressors early on, and create coping mechanisms early on, then individuals hopefully won't get to the point of frustration, to the point of suicidal ideologies and suicidal completion, which we are working very hard against. And so when we look at that point in which those ideologies are already formed, we're missing the point in which we could have engaged in preventative work, or coping mechanisms, or things to help them so that it doesn't get to that point. So I do have a lot of work looking at these subjects, and of course, if somebody is in crisis, please call the crisis line or definitely get help. I'm not saying that that help is not helpful. It really is. Get the assistance that you need, but I do think we need to do a much better job in being preventative with regards to mental health, and making sure that people are getting the best care they can for their mental health and the best care they can for their physical health. So that's what we're working on. And then sustainable green energy. So we are looking at mindful climate, and Naomi Davis talks about the need, and which led her to create Blacks in Green, known as BIG, an environmental and social justice organization that envisions rebuilding Black communities while responding to the climate crisis. So congratulations on that. She is working very hard. She hopes to build a revitalized, sustainable community that draws energy from a renewable power microgrid. So Davis has been vocal critic of electric and other utilities for their rate hikes and shut-off policies, and she sees the green revolution as a path out of poverty after decades of failed government and private programs aimed to help Black people. So congratulations on her, and we wish her well in that endeavor. And I think it's pretty exciting if we could get neighborhoods just on these microgrids. I think that's very exciting as well. Wrigley Field is opening a 17,000 plus square foot 2-story addition that will include a restaurant, a bar, sports viewing area, and sports book run by DraftKings. The new spot sits at the southeast corner at Wrigley Field, and the sports book is accessible only from a single point of entry along Addison Street, meaning fans inside the stadium during games would be able to go into the sports book only if they leave the ballpark. The separation between stadium and sportsbook was meant to comply with Major League Baseball rules, which prohibits sports books from operating where the game ticket is required for entry. So check that out at Wrigley Field. Now, we looked at the Chicago Board of Ethics. We don't represent Chicago, but it's very important to still be aware of what's going on there. 8 candidates violated Chicago's governmental ethics ordinance by using city property in their campaign advertisements. The board determined all the violations of the city's ethics ordinance during the campaign were minor in nature. In an unrelated case, the Chicago Ethics Board voted unanimously to fine a lobbyist $10,000 for failing to re-register as a lobbyist or to terminate their status as a lobbyist in the start of 2022. I know I've had some conversations with local elected officials here on the city level and on the village level, and looking at towns and villages to engage in the process of passing comprehensive ethics ordinances. Some of them have a couple things in the books, not really comprehensive, but there's always a measure in which that it's not bad to have on the books. The state of Illinois has passed numerous ethics reforms, and looking more closely at some other things. We're constantly updating our ethics ordinances. The city of Chicago has a comprehensive ethics ordinance. I don't think it's a bad thing for other towns and villages to have a comprehensive ethics ordinance on the books. So definitely that's something, again, for individuals to engage in their local elected officials on. The state does pass ethics for the whole state, but definitely certain circumstances with regards to inner workings of certain local governments, it never hurts. So we're looking at pension issues, and Mayor Johnson created a working group that includes several individuals related to public pensions, Representative Kelly Burke, Rob Martwick, Joe Haley, and an individual named Steve Zahn. The group of state lawmakers, city officials, and union leaders, they're working with the pension issue. So definitely that is something that I'm working on as well in the pension committee. So Chicago is working with their Cook County officials, and we'll be working concurrently with that. So that wraps up our kind of our segment today. It's a little bit short, but again, we're doing some committee work, and definitely working in the community and working with leaders and setting up for veto session in the fall. So with that, I hope everybody has a great week. This is the last week of June. I can't believe June is over already. It went by extremely fast, and looking forward to a safe 4th of July weekend, and a 4th of July Independence Day parade is in the city of Aurora, and there's others in your town, so definitely tune into that. So with that, in observance of that Independence Day is June 4th, we will forego having a Facebook Live on July 3rd, since July 4th is Independence Day, and then we will be returning on July 10th to give you another update. So take care, have a great rest of the day, and have a wonderful week. Again, be safe, and if you need anything, feel free to call our office. So take care, everybody. Have a great one.